What is up, everybody? I'm NoLexGiven, and today I wanted to take a look at the best deck in Marvel Snap. And it's not just me calling this the best deck. This comes straight from MarvelSnapZone.com, where this deck has been at the top of the metagame report for the month of August. And that definitely piqued my interest. I wanted to take this deck for a spin, see what it was all about, and what really surprised me was just how consistent it is. I've been able to climb 250 plus cubes over 25 levels in just the past few days trying out this deck. So I decided to live stream it. We're going to take a look at some of the best games from that live stream in a moment, but I also wanted to take some time just to break down this deck and talk about it for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Most people probably have seen this deck because it is super popular, so feel free to just jump ahead to the games, but I did want to break down the deck for those people that haven't seen it, as well as go over some choices for cards that you could replace if you don't have everything that I have pictured here. So the core of the deck, I call it -1 because the main card in the deck is going to be Mr. Negative, which swaps the power and cost of all of the cards in your deck. And as you can see, most of the cards cost more than they have power, and then they have really good abilities to make up for it. The other key card in the deck is Sera, which makes all of your cards cost 1 less, or -1. And both of these cards are really just to make your cards cheaper, and then from there, you're just going to play a bunch of really good cards, and that's it. That's why the deck is so consistent, because you're just trying to cheat on energy a little bit, and then play some of the best cards in the game. And one of the reasons that this works is also because of Magik. I would say that this is the third most important card in the deck. On reveal, change this location to Limbo, which gives you a 7th turn in the game. Why that's important is because typically you play Sera and then you only have 1 turn to play cheaper cards, or you play Mr. Negative and then you're only drawing 2 more cards off the top of your deck, and you're not really getting that much use out of these really powerful engines. So Magik just extends the game 1 turn further and says you get 1 more draw with Mr. Negative and you get 1 more turn to dump out your hand with Sera. There's also a lot of tricky things that Magik can do when your opponent isn't ready for it, and that can be extremely powerful as well. But for the most part, you're just trying to have a little bit more opportunity to just play some decent Marvel Snap cards. It's nothing broken, nothing crazy, no crazy combos that happen in this deck, though you can make some big numbers from time to time. For the most part, you're just trying to play consistent Marvel Snap and really good technical Marvel Snap. And I feel like this deck is also very rewarding and fulfilling to play, because it really feels like you are playing Marvel Snap as it is intended, just cheating the energy system a little bit, which is obviously going to be really powerful. 2 of the other cards in this deck that I would say really separate it from other Mr. Negative decks in the past is you are playing Angela, which is effectively a 2/7, and you are playing Bishop, which is effectively like a 3/9 or 3/10. Bishop is very good, and typically you see Angela and Bishop in decks where you're playing a bunch of 1 and 2 cost things so that you can play Angela, then play Bishop, and then just dump your hand with a bunch of mediocre cards that pump up Angela and Bishop to really big numbers. And those are kind of the build-around cards. In this deck, we're playing Angela, and then we're playing Bishop, and then we're still playing a bunch of really strong and powerful cards, which really just separates this from some of the other decks. The only small card that we are playing in the deck is Ant-Man, which is definitely a little bit of an outlier. Doesn't work with Sera, doesn't work with Mr. Negative. I just threw in Ant-Man. I thought it would be okay because I don't have some other cards that might be better in the deck, and we'll talk about those in a moment. So the deck just fills out with Punisher and Wolfsbane, which are just respectable 3-cost cards. This is a 3/6. Wolfsbane is a 3/7, and then both of these things get a considerable bump when you are playing them with Mr. Negative. Wolfsbane, in particular, becomes a 1/9, and then Punisher becomes a 2/7. So both of those things work out pretty well with Mr. Negative. One card that I forgot to mention that I would also say is one of the linchpins of the deck would be Jubilee. And the real reason that Jubilee is so strong is because it just thins your deck by a little bit, which gives you more of a chance to draw Mr. Negative and Sera. You want to play Jubilee on turn 4 if you don't have Mr. Negative and hope to hit it. And you'll hit it a decent amount of the time because there's not going to be too many other cards left in your deck, and it's just good deck thinning as well. It does also work well if it gets flipped by Mr. Negative, becomes a 1/4 that grabs another flipped card out of your deck, and that's pretty good. A lot of times you will want to pay attention to a little bit of card counting when you are playing with Magik and Jubilee. There is a chance that you're going to go through the entire deck if there's any locations that draw cards or anything like that, which means that sometimes you know what you are going to hit with Jubilee, so make sure to pay attention to that. I would say the other really powerful aspect of the deck, though, other than the Angela and Bishop, is this ongoing trio here of Mystique, Rogue, and Iron Man. And I do think that Mystique and Rogue are replaceable, both if you don't have them, but they are very powerful if you do. So Iron Man, probably one of the best cards to go alongside Mr. Negative. It is going to be a 0/5 that then doubles your total power at the location, which means it's a 0/10 already and contributing a whole bunch more pretty typically. Iron Man usually just wins the game. That's how you get some of those big numbers that I was talking about earlier, and it's so strong that you want to do it twice. So Mystique will get to double Iron Man and just give you a little bit more oomph into another location. Typically you want to spread these out, but sometimes you drop them both in the same place if you've already won a different location in another way. And one other thing to note is that you can play Sera on turn 5, and then on turn 6 you can play Iron Man plus Mystique in the same turn, and that is a pretty big amount of power out of nowhere if you have not played Mr. Negative. Both of these cards are so important, and the mirror is so prevalent that you're playing Rogue mostly just in hopes of stealing other people's Iron Man abilities. Steal an ongoing ability from a random enemy card at this location. If you can steal their Iron Man that they were banking on to win in a certain location, that is obviously really, really strong for you. And I will say that while the Punisher and Ant-Man aren't super powerful, they do have kind of an interesting role in that if you play them alongside your Iron Man or Mystique, they're kind of rogue bait. They're either rogue bait for your opponent just to play an early rogue, or because rogue is random, maybe it will hit onto the, oh, I clicked on the wrong card there. Maybe it will hit onto the Iron Man or hit onto the Ant-Man or Punisher, or potentially even the Sera, rather than stealing your Iron Man or Mystique. So these cards are really, really good. I know that there were some people in my last video that were like, oh dang, I don't have Mystique. Can I still play this deck? Which my answer was no in the video. This deck I think can get away without playing Mystique and Rogue. It is going to be worse, but if you have Mr. Negative, Magik, and Sera, I think that you can make the rest of this deck work with some Pool 2 cards. So we'll take a look at those in a moment. I do also just want to give a little bit of a shout out to... Oh, that's right, I don't own it. A little bit of a shout out to Mojo, which is the card that most people are playing instead of Ant-Man. And Mojo also does not work with Mr. Negative, so a little bit weird in that capacity, but it's just so likely that you wind up filling the lane. And Mojo's so tough to play around because if your opponent doesn't fill the lane, then they probably can't beat Mojo, and then if they do fill the lane, then you get +6 power, which makes this a 2/8, which is just a really, really incredible rate. We talked about how strong Angela is for being a 2/7. and Mojo is just even better than that. So Mojo is really strong. Two other cards that I wanted to shout out though here that work pretty well with Mr. Negative are going to be, let's take out the twos, are going to be Devil Dinosaur. That is one card that you can play +2 power for each card in your hand. This gets a little bit awkward with the deck because you wind up dumping your hand more often than not, but it is still just a really strong card that works with Mr. Negative in general. I guess one other card that I forgot about too is the, I forget the name of it, Ironheart. So you could play Ironheart, just give 3 other cards +2 power, becomes a 0/3 when you can negative it. Could potentially get played over Punisher as well, and is overall just a pretty strong card. And then one other thing that you can do is play White Tiger, which is really, really good with Mr. Negative. You'll notice that this deck doesn't lean too heavy into the Mr. Negative of it all, and just tries to play the single most powerful combo with Mr. Negative, which is Iron Man plus Mystique, and then otherwise just says, okay, we're going to just play a bunch of good cards that you would be fine playing even if you don't draw Mr. Negative. If you do decide to play like the Ironheart and the White Tiger, then another card that you could play though is Wong, which does actually work with Mr. Negative and does work with Mystique, so Wong is definitely a potential good candidate in the deck to just get some additional bonuses from Ironheart and White Tiger. And then you could also Mystique your Wong if like you don't have Rogue, and then probably take out Punisher for Ironheart. So those are just a little bit of other ways to work with the deck, and I don't think I'd recommend this, but there is potential that if you were playing Wong, you could go into Forge as well and just play that, because this card does also flip with Mr. Negative. Though I think that Forge, if you're not playing all of those synergies, which I'm not sure that you should be, Ant-Man is just better. Ant-Man is a 1-cost 4 power, whereas Forge is a 2-cost 3 power. So certainly pales in comparison there. But like I said, you're just trying to play a whole bunch of strong cards, make them cost a little bit cheaper, mess up your opponent with Magik, and then potentially do some silly things with Iron Man, Mystique, and Rogue in the late game to pull out some of those really big wins. Hopefully you guys enjoy these games. These were taken from a recent live stream. Like I said, I just started playing with the deck and was feeling really, really good with it, so loaded up the stream and was able to climb a whole bunch of cubes, and here are some of the highlights from those games. This is a great starting hand. It's got everything except for the well, now it definitely has everything. It's got the Magik, but it just doesn't have the 3/2, whose name is currently escaping me. I'm not going to worry about playing the Ant-Man on turn 2, or turn 1 rather. There's just not too much of a need, and we have more flexibility if we kind of let our cards, give ourselves more time to figure out where we want to play anything. We go for Angela on turn 2. That is one of those cards. Blade? Is that the card that costs 3? That must be the 3/2. But we have the Mr. Negative, we have the Magik, and we have the Super Flow, so we can hit the negative on turn 3. I'm going to go ahead and snap when we negative. We'll see if that is enough to completely scare my opponent off. I'm not sure. Next turn I might be using Magik to bunk Super Flow, or potentially Avengers Compound. It's a little bit awkward having to run Magik out so early, but I think that that's still going to be really good. And then Iron Man in the Onslaught Citadel should just be enough to totally win that location. The middle location might be a little bit tough, though. We shall see. We'll see how big they are able to play over here. With armor, it is looking like it might be a Destroyer deck, and we're not too far behind in the Avengers Compound. Getting Magik out right now is actually pretty good, because then it'll stop them from playing Destroyer next turn. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and bunk Super Flow,
Next turn I'll play Iron Man. I'll follow that up on the following turn with a Mystique into the Citadel, which should win the Citadel as well. And then if we need to, we can try to battle for Avengers Compound or the other locations. But we'll see how this goes. All right. Well, actually, that's fine. I don't really care about Daredevil because they know that we are playing a card to Avengers Compound this turn. There ain't nothing they can do about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and play Iron Man here. They'll know that we're going to play Iron Man, but it's not like they can lock us down when they are locked into the compound themselves. I guess if they play the Professor this turn, it gets a little bit awkward for us. Though... Oh, wait, did we win? What is that? That's 19 to... Oh, they gave us a Hobgoblin. Okay, well, that part is awkward. We definitely just lose the Avengers Compound now, and we are bunked there. But I don't think we're going to have too big of a problem winning the Citadel, which means we just have to beat Destroyer over in Limbo. And I think that that's possible. So we do have to play Mystique right now to copy Iron Man. And then I do believe I will just play Jubilee, probably play Ant-Man, and then I probably play Rogue just because it's kind of expensive. And that gives us the option next turn to play Wolfsbane here or here, probably playing it into Limbo. Maybe I don't want to play Rogue at all because we're only going to have one more slot over here. Yeah, sorry. I talked myself in and out of it. Either way, we're only going to have one more slot over here, so it doesn't really matter what we do. That last slot is probably going to be Wolfsbane, but we'll see what winds up happening. Oh, they play Deathlock into Avengers Compound. Is Little Jimmy Jim a bot? No, they're just setting up for Destroyer, knowing that they are only going to have one location to potentially play a Destroyer regardless. Okay, well, I think we beat Destroyer this game because Wolfsbane is +9, and that'll give us 21 over here, which is more than big enough for Destroyer. And Bishop gives us a whole bunch over there, so I think we win. We've already snapped because we had Mr. Negative on turn 3, and my opponent's going to retreat. Okay, there you go. And there you can see the deck is just like playing good cards, doing reasonably mid-range stuff, not trying to do anything too crazy other than having access to multiple Iron Man. And when you can Mr. Negative and Iron Man, that's obviously a pretty big game as well, but I don't know, pretty decent stuff. Onslaught Citadel did a lot of work for us there, but 2 cubes, we're climbing. Don't love this hand to have the Iron Man in the opener. It's always a little bit of a bummer, but sometimes you can find the Mystique and make some magic happen with Magik. Drawing all of our endgame cards, though. A little bit unfortunate. We might just take the cube loss. We're still at 75, I think. Did we dip down again? I don't remember. Okay, Sinister London, so you're saying there's a chance. Well, do we want to play Angela there? Because if we don't play Angela there, it's kind of terrible anywhere else. I don't know if that's enough reason to play it somewhere else, though. Yeah. I think I just play it here. The thing is, with Magik, we're going to have enough time. Ooh, Hulkbuster on the multiple man. Things could get pretty crazy for them if they hit, like, Doctor Strange or something now. They are... This is a Fisk Tower game, which is funny. Alright, what do they got? Yeah, there's the Doctor Strange. That's going to go crazy. Because multiple man starts moving around everywhere. Zip-zopping. Now Doctor Strange goes here. The other multiple man is just going to die to Fisk Tower. So if Doctor Strange landed in the Metropolis, that would have been good. Because it landed there, not super great. Still looks winnable to me. This looks quite winnable to me. Especially if they fill their locations. And then we say, we're going to take another turn this game. And really surprise them with that kind of action. Next turn, we're going to play Magik for 3. Plus, we'll play maybe like Iron Man into Sinister London, get a few copies of that. Alright, Vulture's going to move to the Metropolis. That's nice. And then Cloak lets everything move back to London. Move to London or move to Fisk Tower if you want to destroy some stuff. Okay, and we drew the Mystique for the follow-up turn. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this on Angela, I believe. Then I'm going to play Iron Man here. Next turn I play Mystique. So there is a question of, like, could we get away with not playing Magik? Just go Iron Man Mystique, go Bishop, then go Iron Man Mystique. It's worth looking at. It's worth looking at here. What is this? Wolfsbane. It's a Wolfsbane for 1. Okay, so we'd go Bishop. We'd go Iron Man. We'd go Mystique. That's going to fill up all of these locations. And then we play Wolfsbane here. You know what? I think that I like this better. I don't think that there's actually a huge reason to Magik. I think that we just quadruple Iron Man. And that's probably enough to find us the win. Fisk Tower is really, really interesting for us. I probably could have snapped or something. Wasn't fully paying attention at the time. But I think that this works. Okay, they kill their Iron Fist. They move around their Vulture, and then they're going to play Forge plus Killmonger, which doesn't hit me. It kills their Iron Fist. Is this a bot? This is just like a crushing game here. We're going to get a cosmic victory. Okay, you know what? I'll take it. Easy win. Really, really sweet one there, too. But yeah, with Sinister London, it also doesn't make as much sense to play Magik, because same kind of thing, you just don't have the location to play all of these cards that you want to play. So it's better to just only play 6 turns and win all 3 locations pretty easily. Ant-Man and a Jubilee. Is this the same opponent we just played against? I think so. Good for them for trying to make a bounce deck work, because bounce is really tough. It just seems like very underpowered. Okay, Psylocke, maybe it's not them. We did definitely play against Arthur with this picture somewhat recently, but maybe they weren't playing this exact deck. I want to play Bishop, but I also just want to play an early Jubilee. So I think I'm going to do that. Awkward thing is, like, I'm playing Sera next turn, and then I'm playing Bishop the following turn. But it's just so good to Jubilee as soon as possible. Try to find that Mr. Negative. My opponent negatives right now. So they are a negative player, and we are going to play out a Punisher. Alright, don't love this for me, but figure it out. If we could draw some Iron Mans later on, this is definitely still winnable. I'm going to go ahead and drop Sera here, I believe. Nah, I'll play Bishop into Titan. Let's play Sera here. Okay, they steal our Punisher, but if that's what they're using Rogue for, I can dig it. That is something I can definitely get behind. Alright, Mojo in the Shadowland, a little bit annoying. We are winning in the Shadowland, which is nice, but they're just going to commit 4 cards to it and make things a little bit awkward for us. Now I kind of want to go Bishop into Shadowland. Could also try to play for Superflow, ignoring Titan. But I think the 1 extra allows us to play Ant-Man for free next turn. And so we shouldn't go for it. We should just go Bishop. Plus Ant-Man. Next turn we get to play Mystique, Wolfsbane, Rogue, Ant-Man. And I feel like that might be enough. I feel like that might just be enough. Rogue stealing Rogue might be good enough as well. It's a little tough because they've got negative. See if they give us an extra turn as well. They're playing into the Superflow, playing Angela. This is fine. Oh, and then they play Iron Man. So now we've got the 50-50 to Iron Man, their Iron Man. Which is silly because it might not even be good enough. We have 10 to their 12 in that case. Yeah, that's really silly because that might not even be enough to win it. Yeah, and awkwardly, we don't have great plays here regardless, so we're kind of hoping that they give us an extra turn here. I'm just going to be playing cards into Superflow to pump up Bishop, but I think that playing Iron Man into Shadowland is probably our best bet. Try to win these 2 locations. We're down by 8 here, and we're up by a lot more in Shadowland. I mean, I know that they get Mojo active, but I think this is the way to go. Wait, do I even have to do this? They could have 20. Oh, Wolfsbane is just not enough. Okay. So we're playing like this. It's a little bit sus. It's certainly a little bit sus, but let's rock it. See what my opponent puts together. Are we getting an additional turn? They're going to go for Mojo, and they're going to go Bishop, Wolfsbane. It's going to make it close. Like I said, I think Iron Man is enough to take it, though it's certainly going to be close. We've got to beat 17. I think we beat 17. This is 12, and then... Wow, it's 18. That is just enough. Oh, maybe it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more. What do we steal? We steal Rogue, which should be good enough still, right? Yeah, because then we have the Punisher and they don't. Okay, this was a really, really close game. We're not winning in Superflow. That's just to pump up Bishop so that we can take Shadowland. But really, really close game. This was a fun one. Playing very similar decks here. I don't have Mojo, nor do I have Psylocke, so I'm just getting by playing Ant-Man and Punisher. But we were able to punish our opponent here. I suppose we could throw an Ant-Man into the X-Mansion. We'll be good with New York later, too. I think I just want to curve out. Okay, well, glad I did not throw it there. I think I will probably just play... it's not a great place for it. I guess I'll play Angela here. It's a bit awkward to play into New York. It's a little bit off curve as well, but... Okay, well, it's no longer New York. So I feel a little bit better about this. We're just going to negative there, and then we'll be at 7 against them. Okay. Mystique at least helps us. Ant-Man, Wasp doesn't really help them at all. So I guess this is fine. Like I said, 7-2. They got to play something here for 5. They probably have that. Any 4-6 does it. Am I willing to snap? Yeah, I think so. I think so, because we're going to Magik Jotunheim, probably. And if not, then we're just going to slam a bunch of stuff there final turn. It gets a little bit dicey. We'll see. We'll see. I might even throw Sera into Jotunheim. Right, they've got more for Wolfsbane. That's 3. What's their other play? 0 for another 3. So they just barely beat us. They barely found 6 there. And we are down by 1. So that's a little bit unfortunate. We don't have any type of cross lane play in this deck either. So that's certainly awkward. We do, however, have Iron Man plus Mystique, which is absurdly powerful. And I think strong enough that I just want to go Sera here. So we'll go down to 3, but we'll be able to Mystique it. And here we're going to play Iron Man Wolfsbane. And then here I'm going to play Mystique. Yeah, seems like it's correct. I might play double... Iron Man and Jotunheim. Red Skull was zeroed out. That's a pretty cool play from them. Ooh, Jubilee. 1-cost Jubilee. I like that a lot. I could throw that into this Ant-Man location. So what if we play Mystique plus Iron Man here? It's -1, 3, and 2, which is 4, so that's 16. So we could have 16 in Jotunheim. We have to win all 3 locations, though. Oh, you know what we do? It's Iron Man, Mystique, Jubilee. How much is this? This is 4 plus 3. It's 7, so it's 28. Okay, 28 can win. They'd have to put 13 here. And then we're going to win Jotunheim. Okay, we found it. We've already snapped this game because we played Mr. Negative on turn 4. Really close game. Really close game. Let's see what my opponent can do here. They have a Dr. Doom, so that's going to be enough to win the flooded location, which we'd already lost, but not enough to win X-Mansion. And double Iron Man is. That is going to flip the script over there, give us a 28 8-point victory, and then Jubilee will come out of Jotunheim and get us a pretty close win, but a win nonetheless. We're going to win by 6 over there or something. 4. We win by 4. Really close one, but a really cool victory there. 4 cubes up. Pretty cool deck. That's why you gotta love this deck. It's just got so much play to it and is really consistent and really powerful. Not doing anything super crazy, but is just playing like solid Marvel Snap every single game, which is pretty powerful. Yondu. No. Okay. Bishop, not the best, not the worst. Sokovia taking Magik. There's a little bit of a griefing deck going on here. I totally forget what my opponent just discarded. If anybody was paying enough attention, let me know, but it's actually not the worst place in the world. Let's Punisher, excuse me, to beat Yondu. Then I'm probably just going to Jubilee into the vault and hope to hit negative unless we draw negative. Nope. Let's Jubilee in. And we hit negative. All right, Jubilee's really, really good at hitting negative today. Love that. That probably puts me in a place where I don't even have to play for the vault right now. I could. I don't hate doing it, but I just don't think that I need to. So if they play a card here that gives them +8, they take it over. But if they play 7 for 7, we tie. So like we lose to like Abomination, we lose to yeah, we lose to that. You know what? I don't want to lose to that Netflix Marvel show, Jessica Jones. I don't want to lose to Jessica Jones there. Ooh, Professor. All right, well, I think we can still win the Monster Metropolis. This might even be better for us. Because I think we can just turbo play out for the Metropolis. This is 6. That's 3, or that's 4. This is 2. This is a whole bunch of stuff on the final turn here. Wolfsbane is also going to steal the Monster Metropolis. I'm good with this. I'm good with this, yeah. I think they retreat to that most often. So maybe it's not even worth snapping there. That's such a tough part of the game. Like, do you snap when you have the victory? Discard a card from each player's hand? Ant-Man MVP of being in my hand and getting messed with. Love that. Love that. All right, Hellfire Club. Well, I don't have an Ant-Man anyways, so don't bottom me. Let's play an Angela. We've got a Bishop. I probably should have just snapped. Snap now. Now that we see that the third location also isn't messing with us, let's snap, throw down Bishop in Monster Metrop, and start to do him dirty. This is a really, really good curve, too. What do they got? Cosmo. Okay, okay. Well, let's not throw Mr. Negative there. Let's throw Mr. Negative into the Hellfire Club. I might even just not be able to play in Sokovia. Maybe I'll throw Iron Man there or something. But we have to Magik in one of these two locations. Juggernaut. Okay, well, luckily we had priority. But this is going fine for us still here. My opponent does get priority now, which is a little bit awkward, but they've already played Cosmo and Juggernaut. I don't feel like there's that much more that they can do to really disrupt us. I don't know what they're playing short of a Cerebro deck. Looks like a Cerebro deck. Okay, this is Cerebro. We are definitely not playing any more cards in Sokovia, that's for sure. But all we have to do is draw Iron Man, and this is like a very, very easy game. I'm trying to think if I want to play around Scarlet Witch. It's a little bit annoying because it denies us cubes, but I think that it's smart to do so. So we just do this. It's likely not an Enchantress deck if it is a Cerebro deck. It could still be Destroyer. It could just be Destroyer with Juggernaut. Definitely possible. At which point, like, I'm still covered because I'll still win in Metropolis. This is fine. This is fine. It means that we're only getting 2 cubes out of this one, but I'm not sure. This'll tell us, because this might just be a Destroyer here on turn 6.
I am Iron Man.
And then we just play one more card. Whatever we draw, we throw that into Limbo. And that's pretty straightforward for us. Blue Marvel. Okay, yeah, so it's Cerebro. It's Cerebro. I was like, Blue Marvel? What the Blue Marvel do? Alright, and my opponent has seen enough. Only 2 cubes. That's what you get. Ant-Man, Magik, Iron Man. One of the worst hands you can have with the deck. Jotunheim. Not super crazy about that one, but if we draw Mr. Negative, it can all turn around, you know? There's always a possibility. I think I'll just play Ant-Man. It seems like this hand's going to be so expensive that you either play Ant-Man or you just never play it here. Next turn we get to play Punisher. Don't love that. Maybe we can draw the Bishop. Kind of losing in Xandar. I think we can win Kylan, and I think we can win Xandar with Iron Man. We're going to win this with Punisher Jubilee, I think. Unless they play Bishop here. If they have exactly Bishop this turn... Yeah, okay. This is a little bit risky. But Jubilee's still very strong. I'm not going to snap for it. Because this could just hit Mystique. We'd be very embarrassed. It's going to hit Wolfsbane. It's something. I think we still lose to Bishop. But we tried. Ooh, they are a Khazar deck. Okay. So we do know they're going to dump their hand on the final turn and win with Bishop in Kylan. So we could potentially... I'm going to stay in it. I'm going to stay in it because I think we can bunk them in Jotunheim and Xandar. Yeah, they're just going to run out of space here. Okay, they get the Rocket Raccoon. That's fine. They might just scoop up to Magik. Nightcrawler. Okay. That's really good for them. That means that they don't bunk regardless of what they do. Okay, and they are going to flip Jotunheim, so I'm glad I didn't play Magik this turn. Oof. Oof. And they have the Electra. Wow, okay. This definitely got a lot harder just now. Because now I can only Mystique into Big House. But it's still possible. It is still possible. I think I am going to play Bishop here. And then play Magik. It's going to be really tough. I have to draw Mystique next turn. And then go Angela, Iron Man, Mystique. And hope that that's enough. I'll do the math next turn. They're probably going to move Nightcrawler this turn, which is good for me. Yeah. And they're not quite bunked, but they might be out of cards in hand. Yeah, they are out of cards in hand. So they'll only get to play one more thing next turn. It's not going to be Chavez. It's just going to be a random one drop off the top. So we'll put them at putting 3 more power into the Big House. And I think we can beat that. And then I think Iron Man is going to be enough in Limbo. No, I'm going to need more than Iron Man. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Needing to go Iron Man plus Mystique is pretty rough. Maybe it's Angela, Iron Man in Limbo. Gets me to 22. And then Mystique into Big House puts me to 12. I think that's winning. I'm going to snap. Angela, Iron Man, Mystique. I think this can do it. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. This is a big one. 8 cubes and a really, really close game. They only have 1 card off the top, and it's Ant-Man. We beat Ant-Man. That's 2 power, 1 more off the Punisher, And we're going to have 12 in the big house. Wow, really, really close game. Iron Man flips Limbo, pumping Angela to 3, giving us 22 to 20 over there. And then we're going to have Mystique, which will double up the 6 in the big house, and 12 beats 9. Wow, really, really close game. Really, really close one, but 8 cubes to finish it off. Feel pretty good about that one.